Hello, chat. How is everybody? Can you see me? Can you hear me? The cry of the Johnny, the start of each Disco Elysium stream. Can you see me? Can you hear me? You might pick up on a certain energy from
lack thereof.
Well, all lack thereof.
It's a bit of a manic one, isn't it?
Well, I haven't slept because Sash really wanted to stay up and watch the election all night, and so we did.
Well, you didn't have to.
I know I didn't have to, but I wanted to. So I would like, I slightly wanted to, and I very wanted to support.
Well, don't make out to chat like I kept you up.
Forced me.
Forced you
Forced
awake
me.
by throwing coffee in your eyes.
Yeah, absolutely. I was like, Sash, let me die. And but no. Although that said, I haven't had a confirmation from any of the mods that I am currently live.
Are you so sleepy that you forgot to hit live?
No, I definitely hit live. I'm just going to. Sorry, everyone.
The game's too
okay,
loud.
yeah. It looks like
they're all saying you're here.
Yeah, everyone. Yeah. Although, who's modding today?
I don't know. Did we make a schedule? Look, there's Jester.
Oh, Jester's there.
Hello,
Jester's
Jester.
there. Hello, Jester. Yes. Well, at least I thought I saw Jester.
I saw Jester.
Are there mods?
Just a moment ago.
Hold on, I'm gonna drop the game slightly. Surely there must be mods because somebody turned it off. Emojis. Jester was there earlier.
Maybe they've just gone to get a drink of water or something. Yeah, see, there they are.
Oh yes, okay, marvelous. Oh, you had to. Yeah, that's fine. Sorry, I just I'm a bit sleepy, because on account of how I haven't slept, and I got a little bit paranoid. But
an hour.
No, you. To be fair, you've slept multiple hours throughout today.
Not all at the same time.
Not all at the same time, but yes. Right. So, but anyway, it's time to disco some Elysiums.
Elysiums. I don't know why I'm here. This isn't my stream.
Yeah, you were going to go upstairs and watch a football.
Yeah, it's not working very well. I'm here just like I'm just looking at it, and I have to bend over upside down.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get. Yeah.
Terrible.
Nor can you hear how sad the music is.
Oh. I'm gonna go and those teas I was making, they'll be so stewed.
Yep, you're very much getting a behind the scenes here at Casa del MacGuffin, as to what a day looks like when we haven't slept, and just a wee bit all over the place. Just a wee bit all over the place. That said, once the game starts, I'm going to be in the zone. I'm going to be ready and raring. No, I am. I think I can nail it. But yeah, so this is Disco Elysium. So as I said at the top of every stream, do make sure you check the content warnings, because there's a lot going on. It takes a lot of big swings. It deals with a lot of very heavy topics, some of which I think it deals with very well, some of which I think it deals with less well. And with all of that, your mileage may vary. So do check content warnings to up top. We have a Kofi. Oh, do you want popping this down?
Yes,
Thank you.
I'm popping the tea.
So we have a Kofi from CJ Chicanery. Just finished Family Business. Need the extended Monster Hunting universe. I'm big into audiobooks, Janitor Life, and the casting for your books are so good. Do you have a lot of control over casting? Also love hearing you play villains. I have a theoretical veto over casting, and I can sort of express a broad preference for like what sort of voice actor.
Would you? It's
Like,
not your job.
well, like for instance, in 13 Stories, for Damien, I was like, I really want to have like either a trans man or a.
You meant like artistically.
Oh no. Like, but generally they will just sort of say, hey, here's who we're thinking of getting to do the book. Do you want to have a and I'll go away and have a listen. And so far, in all cases, I've been like, oh yeah, that's really good. Tick. And then they'll say, hey, do you want to do the voice of the dickhead? And I'll say, yes, please and thank you. I would like to do the voice of the dickhead, thank you. And then I'll do that. Yeah, it's a weird one that like, but I'm quite delighted that in a lot of the stuff I write that ends up in audio, even if it's not, I have not written it specifically for audio or I have no control over the casting, I will often get asked, hey, do you want to play the villain role?
I have just realised we'll never get offered villain roles. I wish I would. I obviously don't have a voice for evil. I could be evil.
Yeah.
Casting directors, I could be a real
I
dickhead.
don't know if casting directors are watching me right now.
Casting directors who are listening to this, don't judge me on this alone. Because I'm very tired.
Okay, do an evil voice then. That's an evil laugh,
yeah,
mate.
It is. I don't
laugh.
know. I don't know. Should I do a Jacob Rees-Mogg impression?
Well, okay. You've watched too much Election.
I've watched too much Election.
You've watched too much Election. I think you need to go and watch some football.
Just because I don't have naturally as evil a voice as you. This is nice voiced people discrimination.
But you have a nice voice. Literally, earlier when I was trying to check if there was a mod, someone heard your voice and was like, Sasha has such a nice voice.
That's what I mean. I sound like someone who's friendly. This is friendly voice discrimination. You know what? Sometimes it's them who'll get you. Just saying, it's them who'll get you. I think it'll be fun to play someone really evil.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, and it looks.
I mean, I've done it many times, so it's cool. It's fun. Strongly recommended. Kofi from Uffit, belated payday, Kofi. It was a weird enough week that I forgot I got paid. That is a weird week. Well, hope your week is less weird now. And Kofi from Freya Moonlight. Hello, my good news is that this week I started my first job in the field I want to work in. I get to work in a proper analytical lab. It's very exciting and very exhausting, although I thought you'd appreciate all the meat juice I had to create and work with. I do appreciate it. I don't understand it. The phrase, I create meat juice, is very compelling to me, but I do not know what it means. Anywho, let's play Disco Elysium. Last time we discovered... actually, I'm going to wait till Sash is out of the room because Sash has been saying for several years that he's going to play the game. So I'm not allowed to talk... For like 4 or 5 years, I've not been allowed to talk about Disco Elysium around Sash because of a hypothetical playthrough that may occur in future. But it's fine. It's fine. Bye. Enjoy your football. Don't fall down the stairs. Sash, do you legit need me to get off the stream for a second and help you up the stairs? 1 second, chat. I'm coming to help. Ah. Back, everything's fine. Sash ascended the stairs without any help because they're cool and capable. And I definitely wasn't even instructed to say that. So yes, right, back we go. Okay, let's finally play Disco Elysium. Last time on Disco Elysium, we were coming to the end of the first day, and we'd our dear friend, our like the closest friend we've ever made, who we've known for about 14 hours now, Kim, our de facto partner in this murder investigation, has very kindly allowed us to pawn some shiny hubcaps that he had for money so I can stay in a hotel room. And also I discovered I pawned my police gun, which wasn't an amazing discovery to have. It's quite late. Should really be getting to bed. Tire tracks leading onto the roof. The slush and rain has almost washed them off.
Inside, you see a set of steering levers, a radio microphone, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
This is Precinct 57. How may I assist you?
Could you run a serial number from a pair of armoured boots for me?
Sure, officer. What's the number? And the make of the armor, if you know it.
E50.100.1000. The make and the model of the armour is Fairweather T500/VE.
Got it. I'll contact the ICP database immediately. Call back tomorrow. Hopefully they'll have dug up something useful by then.
The International Collaboration Police, ICP, is an inter-Isoleri law enforcement service, the crown jewel in the moral intern diadem, alongside EPIS and the coalition government.
I'm done with the radio for now.
57's over and out.
In the cabin, you see a set of steering levers, a radio on a hook, a pull-out toolbox, and the soft glow of the fuel preheater gauge.
Kim, how do I turn on the headlights?
All right. Ready? I turn, you press start. It's next to the preheater.
He's downplaying his excitement. The lieutenant is more than happy to show off his precious carriage.
Press engine start.
The dashboard lights up with orange glow. The rounds per minute gauge jumps, and the engine of the Caprice Canadian comes to life with a whiny growl. Like a leopard waking from its sleep, yawning and roaring at the same time.
Press the button labelled Headlights.
The lights unfold with a little click, casting electrical light onto the ground before the vehicle.
There you go. I'll turn them off from the remote once you're done. We just need to stand in front of the machine now.
As you hold your ledger's clip under the headlamp, an iridescent hologram appears. A street grid and the veins of a great river. A familiar sensation washes over you.
There she is. Revachol West.
Around the borders of the watermark are dozens, no, hundreds of micro-perforations.
Look at the shimmering street grid.
The rectangular watermark is overlaid with the logo of the RCM, and yet the major arteries of Revachol are all recognizable. They shimmer in the Kanema's headlights.
Wait, look around you.
You catch a faint glimmer from a broken beer bottle in the distance. Sounds. Two men engaged in a drunken argument, followed by the closing of some distant window.
Ah, Martinez at night.
Where are we on this?
Let me see. Right here.
I'm sure I've seen worse.
Oh yes. Coal City. Le Royaume. The burnt-out quarter.
Look at the perforations.
There are many of them, and they are divided into 3 separate rows.
Tally up the different rows.
The first row has 18 dots.
What about the next one?
The next is the longest. It runs all the way around the border, and then some.
Count them individually.
There are so many, it's hard to count. More than 150, at least. Maybe even 200.
What about the last row?
The last row has 3 perforations.
3? That's it?
That's it.
Hey, Kim, what do all these holes mean?
Those are perforations. They represent your record as an officer of the RCM. They are your statistics, as it were. I should have guessed you'd keep a record. Officers often do. Let's take a look. The first row represents your years of service. 18 years. Okay, not bad at all. What did you do before you volunteered?
Wait, 18 years I've done this.
That's what it says. I might have guessed even longer based on your age. What did you do all those blissful years of your youth?
Got drunk like a megastar?
Yes, that does seem quite likely. Your youth coincided with some heady days for Revachol. But let's move on, shall we? This next row, the one that wraps all the way around, is your number of closed cases. Closed is good. It means finished. You've got, let's see... Wow, more than 200.
Is that a lot?
It's quite a lot, even for someone who's been on the force for nearly 2 decades. Usually, clearing more than 10 cases a year puts you in the 90th percentile of all RCM officers.
So you're saying I used to be a super cop?
Call it what you want. You were a valuable member of your precinct. Now, let's look at the last row. Right. Those are your confirmed kills. You've got precisely 3 perforations there.
So, I'm a killer.
For an RCM officer, especially Precinct 41, which is in the Jamrock quarter, it's rather tame. I mean that in a good way.
What's it feel like to kill a man, Mr. McCoy? A young woman asked the man across the desk from her. Honestly, babe, says John McCoy, crossing his ankles over said desk. I don't feel anything anymore. It's just like brushing my teeth. I do it once or twice a week and don't really think about it. There's no trace of guilt in his voice.
There are certain officers who treat their kills like some kind of ghoulish game. If they do happen to solve a case, it's usually by accident. But it seems as though you are, or at least were, one of the good ones. So we have that to be thankful for.
Have you ever killed anyone, Kim?
Yes.
It's not a problem for him to state it, however.
How do you handle the strain?
Everyone has their own method of coping. Some more effective or self-destructive than others. Personally, I find it helps to keep up a few hobbies.
Like, what?
Oh, this and that. Let's not get into it now.
Maybe I should find a hobby.
Why not gardening? You've already got the yellow gloves.
It's meant in earnest. Please don't mistake it for a jab.
Maybe I should pull one out for the boys? The fallen?
If you want to pour out the booze you've been carrying around on duty, I'm certainly not going to stop you.
I picked that up from a box. I've been not drinking it. Pour one out on the ground,
A
ceremonially.
dark pool of cheap wine appears at your feet. It shimmers in the lights of the Kanema. Honorably done. You have given up some of your own blood for theirs.
I'm not really sure what you're supposed to say at these things. The gloaming comes for all, but it came first for you.
Very noble of you. Are we done here?
Thanks for this.
The lieutenant nods.
Okay, let's go.
Right. I'll go turn off the lights.
You can now see your statistics.
Can I help you?
So, about that money I owe.
Yes. Have you got it?
I have your money.
Well,
Here's 130 real.
great. Thank you, officer. That's all I wanted. Payment for services rendered. If you continue to stay here, I just ask that you please pay your nightly bill in advance starting tomorrow. I'll unlock the electronic lock to your room. All the doors lock automatically at 9 p.m. Please pay for each night in advance starting tomorrow. 20 real per night.
I'll take a room here too.
Of course. Always happy to have officers from the RCM as guests. Anything else I can do for you?
Goodbye. Wild Pines, Feld, Capri, Tricentennial, Villiers, and LaSalle, names of Revacholian Indo-tribes spring into your head, set loose at the mention of wild pines, royal monopolies, octopuses and swordfish, most of them gone now, YBP, Expander, Saint-Baptiste, Brightest Star, LUM, Resplendent, East Insulindic, Welter, and El Cassette. But isn't one missing? Wait, no. There were only 14. Why do you feel like there was a 15th Indo tribe?
You should pick that fat, juicy cigarette butt from the tray, light it up, and smoke the living shit out of it.
Am I a smoker?
Who knows what you are? A monster, a murderer, the gnome of Jeroma? You feel like a smoker, especially when you look at that juicy, succulent, seductive cigarette stub, still smoldering deliciously.
But she broke it at the filter. I can't smoke that.
How very astute of you. This renders it ineffectual. You should look for a whole cigarette, or better yet, an entire pack. Strike that. A carton. Make sure they're all healthy and able-bodied. Then smoke them all.
The idea seems to make your neck expand. Suddenly, the garish tie feels very snug.
Like a cat rubbing itself against its owner's calves. A cat that wants you to smoke a lot. Or you could not do that. No one is making you.
Well, I'll think about it.
Good. Thinking about yummy cigarettes in your mouth is the next best thing. Make sure you think about juicy sticks of tobacco all the time, though. It doesn't count if it's not all the time. And when you're done thinking about them, graduate to getting them. Plus, smoking them gives massive bonuses. This is the door to the room you redecorated.
Good night, Lieutenant.
Just a moment. You had some questions earlier, I believe. And besides, we should discuss our progress on the investigation. Let's go out to the balcony.
All right, let's go.
The air outside is brisk. The lieutenant is silent for a moment. He listens to the traffic hum. Then,
Where shall we begin? We should talk about the investigation, first and foremost. But I also remember you wanting to discuss the RCM?
I didn't know you smoked, Kim.
I have a cigarette every night when I go over my notes. It's something of a ritual.
oh man, he looks so devastatingly cool with that cigarette.
I think I might want to pick up smoking. Do you have any more cigarettes?
I apologize, but I only brought one with me. I have exactly one cigarette every night while going over my notes.
How did you get so cool, Kim?
You mean this? This isn't cool. It's an unnecessary trial of will, and unhealthy.
Keeping the habit within the parameters he's given himself takes a lot of focus. It would be easier to simply quit.
Just gonna tone down the music volume ever so slightly more, just because it's a little bit high at the moment compared to the voiceover, I think.
Yet, were he to quit, he would lose the cool factor. This man relishes his cool quite a bit below it all.
Right then, the debrief.
Yes, it's been a long and eventful day.
So, how do you think today went?
Well, we inspected the victim's body, so that's good. It was not easily approachable in that state, but we did it. I would say our initial inspection was very thorough, and we have solid leads to follow up on. Then you shot the body down, which was quite the shot.
I was inspired by your confidence in me, Kim.
I admit I wasn't sure whether I should give you the gun, but I'm glad I did. We still have to perform the autopsy, though. But we did do a thorough search of the crime scene. That's great. Now, as for interviews, my list of people to talk to here in Martinez, I mean.
That's my forte. Unlike most cops, I understand how important communication is in our line of work.
I'm glad we can agree on that, at least. We weren't able to find the union leader, Everard Clare, much less interview him, so that's on the to-do list for tomorrow. We tried to interview the Wild Palms rep, but she asked us to do something for her first. Fine, so be it. I have a feeling Joyce knows how dangerous the situation really is. We have to get her to talk to us. Above all, though, today was exhausting. What's with all the running? You run a lot. Is that a standard Precinct 41 practice?
I have a really good theory about why you're running so fast, son. Just you wait until we get up tomorrow.
I don't know why I do the things I do, Lieutenant Kisaragi.
It's impressive, especially for a man your age, and in those hills. Nice shoes, by the way. I like the green. Goes with the orange.
So, what are our powers exactly? The RCN?
They're quite limited, actually. The power officers of the Revachol Citizens Militia exercise most frequently is imposing fines of up to 1,000 real for offenses, in accordance with an interdepartmental schedule.
1,000? Why not more?
The RCM's primary role is to ensure safety. We are not really supposed to play any part in the economic structure of Revachol.
Wouldn't that be an easy power to abuse?
Yes, although indirectly, as citizens can always request records from their local station. Officers of the RCM have been known to take bribes of less than the prescribed fine amount. It undermines trust in the RCM.
Okay, what else?
We can arrest people, of course, but rather than bringing someone in directly, it's preferable to serve a station cold sleep. It prevents confusion and overcrowding.
Wait, how can you be sure the arrestee will show up?
You can't. Those who don't show up become fugitives, though, and have fewer legal rights when they are eventually caught. It's about power projection. Thus far, they seem to mostly show up.
I see. And if someone resists?
As you may have gathered from the fact that we are expected to carry a record of our kills, like the one in your watermarks, we are permitted to use whatever force is necessary, and strongly admonished not to abuse that power.
What happens to the people we convict?
We don't convict. We arrest and send them to coalition government courts in Couron and La Delta. The prosecution works off our testimonies and records, which is why it's paramount to keep them.
Wait, so if I kill someone while on duty...
You have to supply compelling evidence for why it was necessary to use lethal force. In these cases, your partner is usually your witness. Not a good position to be in, by the way. Internal Affairs handles these cases thoroughly, by cross-examining you for inconsistencies. It is hard to cover for anyone, which is for the best.
And who makes all these rules?
The coalition government, and the moral intern more broadly. The RCM was formed by the coalition government to restore order in the international zone after the revolution. So we did. Now we attempt to maintain that order. No more, no less. Or perhaps it is better to say we were allowed to form. It's a point of contention whether the citizens of Revachol or the coalition government founded the RCM.
Let's say it was the citizens of Revachol.
Be sentimental if you like. Either way, the moral intern leases us the right to keep the peace in this city, and they will take it away if we misuse it.
The moral intern. What is it?
The Moralist International are the world's largest political organization. You know who they are. They have been running this place after the revolution failed.
If I didn't know, how would you describe them?
They're a union of center-left and center-right parties across the Real Belt. Our coalition government is just one of its many projects. They also run the ICP, EPIS, most intergovernmental organizations in the world.
What do they believe in?
What do they believe in? They are Dolorians. They believe they continue the humanist project set forth by Her Innocence Dolores Day 4 centuries ago. Others say they are just technocrats.
What is their symbol?
Interesting question. It's a blue forget-me-not. Their motto is love, compassion, self-discipline. I think you can gauge what they want you to think of them from that.
Something kind and usual. Something almost self-explanatory. Something ominous. Something even a little feminine, but in a strict manner.
Okay, electrochemistry.
Something like the dark blue, serious color of the early night sky above.
Who was Dolores Day?
A historic figure? The author of the modern age? You will have to look elsewhere for opinions. The subject of humanism is too abstract for me.
What do you think of them?
The moral intern are a fact. I try not to have opinions on facts until they change. And it doesn't look like that's about to happen.
It is more than that. There's some kind of affection in him.
You like the moral intern?
Yes, I did, when I was younger. In my 20s, I considered myself a moralist. A blue forget-me-not, a piece of the sky. They're not all that bad.
That's another leitmotif associated with moralism.
But the years have changed that. I don't know what I believe in now. No, I believe in the RCM. That's enough for me.
I have an opinion on the moral intern.
Do you?
They've done an awful job here. Have you seen the place? This isn't humanism.
We are in what is called the twilight of international law. The laws we claim to enforce come from the MI. Without them, we are simply vigilantes.
Maybe we should make our own law.
Spoken like a revolutionary, not a cop. But hypothetical aside, in Martinez we already are vigilantes. At least the Union thinks so. I expect our job here to prove quite challenging.
Say nothing. Just look into the night.
The dying lights of the city shimmer below. Slowly, like luminous clouds, they pass on his lenses. The lieutenant looks at his slim cigarette, contemplating the next drag. This soldier is the highlight of the day for me, he thinks. This little stick right here.
They really don't like us here. And the mouth on that kid, Kuno. It's different in land, in Jamrock and the GRIH.
Why are they like this?
It's our fault for leaving this place to the dogs, to the Union, to the company, not daring to come here more often. It's like I told you, this place is an orphan, fallen between the cracks.
And in Jamrock and the GRIH?
We run this city. West of the river is RCM land. It's incredibly hard. Human beings are... But we are in control, and it's worth it. The organization works, our systems work. If they didn't, the city would disintegrate.
Night. Captain Ptolemy Price steps into the yard. A piebald horse waits by the motor carriage, chewing oats out of an oat bag. Seagulls fly overhead. The sky is black. Captain Price wears a black suit and a standard patrol coat as he mounts the horse to head home. Rows of houses on either side, hunching over the sidewalks, and Precinct 41 with its dome roof growing distant. Around him, the streets are silent. A kid on the corner waves at the captain as he takes the turn on Petition and Main. The horse neighs. The captain nods back. Thanks, kid, he thinks. He's grateful.
Hope our investigation will help improve the situation here. At least do some good.
Me too. But I wouldn't count on any drastic changes in our lifetimes.
He is very tired, but the dark circles under his eyes make him look younger, not older.
Thank you for this.
Yeah, it's getting very cold now. Let's go.
It's time to go out and collect some bottles so I can sleep in a hotel tomorrow. A hostel. hear the distant squall of seabirds. A splatter of bullet holes lines the wall. Money. Did I already get it? No. Huh. Thought there was a plastic bag down here that would let me collect bottles for cash. Odd. Yeah. Pressed the wrong button there.
You're back. Good. What can I help you with at this late hour?
It's night. Don't you ever sleep?
Matter of fact, I don't.
Why is that?
I have a medical condition of my own. Nothing unusual, though. I'm old, you see.
Old, huh? Think I have that too.
Don't worry. It's curable. With questions. Ask me some. It'll help pass this night.
I've got some more questions about reality.
More lessons in basic reality? My favorite part of the day. Go ahead. Ask me anything.
What times are these?
These are unimportant times, Detective. You and I were born after the dust had settled. 1,000th of a second too late.
Too late for what?
For the big time.
What's the big time?
The revolution.
And what is this revolution I keep hearing about?
It's quite easy. Every 100 years or so, our species gets together to decide what's next, who gets shot in the head, and who gets the mineral rights. It's a real kerfuffle.
Who got shot in the head?
Those would be the communists. Generally speaking, 40 million people got shot in the head during the World Revolution. But the communists, they all got shot in the head.
She's not gloating. It's a relieved celebration.
Oh, and the anarchists too. They shot them well. So well, one forgets they even existed.
Did the communists and the anarchists shoot back?
Did they ever? Before they got shot themselves, they shot 2 million people.
Sounds like they should have shot more people in the head then.
Don't worry. Klas Mazov shot 15 million people in the head. But that was all the way over in Grad.
Anyone else get shot in the head on the opposing side?
Oh, lots of people. Even the king got shot in the head, or thrown beneath a horse, or drowned. Accounts differ. It was unceremonious. Just as well, he wasn't actually the king. Just the king's nephew. The real king abdicated and lived out a long and productive life as a venture capitalist in Grad.
Smart king.
Yes. King Guillaume had a nose for bad PR. He ran before it. What is the expression? Went down? Anyway, Gil got out alive and his nephew Frisell got shot in his place. Him and tens of thousands of his wonderfully fascist kingsmen. It was a wild time.
Who got the mineral rights?
The liberals got the mineral rights. And by mineral rights, I mean everything.
Okay, and by liberals, you mean?
Liberals are usually middle-class people, Detective. Or the remaining gentry. The beneficiaries of the pre-revolutionary arrangement. Some were rich enough to stay with the constitution, with monarchy. Big mistake. Others bet on the revolution. They were called the ultras, or ultra-liberals. They fared well.
How did the liberals win it all?
They didn't win so much as survive. We were the last ones standing when the war ended. Everyone else got shot in the head, remember?
We. She's one of them. Of course.
If everyone got shot, who was there to surrender to?
To foreign intervention. The coalition. Those people really took the mineral rights.
Who are the coalition?
The coalition of nations. Grad, Mesk, Vesper, Messina, Oranje, and Sur-la-Clay. The armed center of the world. They landed here and ended the revolution. It was the moralist thing to do.
There is bitterness in her voice, tempered with understanding. She is critical, but ultimately understands the cause.
Moralist?
The moralists believe in keeping everything exactly the way it is. They believe in mineral rights, and not shooting people in the head. At least not in the same manner and volume as the others do. They are the long-standing provisional rulers of Revachol now, the coalition government. This is their zone of control. They embolden the RCM with crumbs of the same law they took. Technically speaking, you are a moralist.
I don't think I am a moralist, Mom.
Of course. Not easy to be moderate about head shooting in your line of work.
When was this kerfuffle?
The turn of the century revolution? Don't answer it. It's a trick question. The revolution began in '02 on the Isla of Grad, though by the end nearly the whole world had gotten involved.
Who started it?
It wasn't a who, but a what. A pandemic of Zarat, a particularly virulent prion disease, which the authorities in Grad proved unable to contain. Then Mazov came along and overthrew the government.
What did this Tsareth do?
It made people overthrow their governments.
Wow. Really?
Of course not. It was a highly infectious microorganism that destroyed brain tissue. The actual causes of the revolution were material. The pandemic only provided the spark.
Where did it spread from there?
From Revachol and Grad? Not far. The world managed to cauterize itself. Mazov's government was overthrown in '08, and the coalition crushed the Revachol commune 2 years later. It was the end.
What came next?
Why? You and I, officer. Our lives in the zone of control.
Something tells you her life and yours are not that similar. Maybe it's because she has a boat and you have that necktie? A pair of pants?
Our lives are very different from each other.
No doubt. But we share the same time and position on the planet's crust. That counts for more than you think.
What is the zone of control?
A city-state divided into free market zones under the everlasting interregnum of the Coalition of Nations, and you, of course, the Citizens' Militia.
The clatter of typewriter keys fills the main hall of the reappropriated silk mill. Precinct 41. Chad Tilbrook presses enter. Outside, Officer Elfboy Williams slams the door of an armored motor carriage.
The zone of control is the third incarnation of Revachol, after the failure of the Suzerain and the Commune.
What happened in the rest of the world?
Modernity. They developed the marvels of the inter-eastlery communication. Telematic milieus, radiation, colored plastics. Meanwhile, in Revachol West, the aftermath continues for the 5th decade.
It's been like this for how long exactly?
43 years. Hard to fathom, I know.
What have we been doing all this time?
The 20s saw a decade of urban war, west of the river leveled, offshore platforms in flames. Still, it's regarded as an improvement on what came before. 08 to 19 was simply hell.
And after that?
The 30s? Things settled down in the 30s. Revachol East transformed itself into the world's largest tax haven, with the international community's blessing. For the first time in a long time, it seemed like things were going somewhere.
Were they?
No. It was a market mirage fueled by cocaine and quantitative easing. The 40s dispelled it like a cold splash, an Isla-wide hangover, you might say. And here we are. Welcome to reality, baby.
From the looks of it, the 50s haven't been much better for the zone of control. You can see it in her eyes. Days slipping away.
You don't seem to be thrilled.
I've no right to be dissatisfied. This shirt is Barbara Muscova, this raincoat is impervious to rain and is guaranteed for 100 years. My daughters will wear it. No, it's just... We could have had so much more. Every one of us. If only we'd played it right.
What would you have done differently?
Good question. What would you have done differently?
No, her first.
I asked you. Who are you in all of this?
And I asked you, past-less detective of the Citizens' Militia, what insight has acute encephalopathy given to you?
I don't know what I would have done differently.
And you would have died, most likely. Not far from here. Maybe even right here, during the beachhead, defending the coast the day the Coalition took the city.
Probably.
No, almost certainly. The Commune would have forced you. Such was the fate of the undecided.
That's enough about the times.
They are what they are. Who knows? An afterbloom may yet come. Anyway, enough sentimentality. Is there anything else you want to know?
Not so fast. Who is she in all this? Ask her who she is. She owes you an answer.
What is...
6 kilometers southwest, in the Valley of Dogs, Junior Officer Chad Tilbrook takes aim at a rabid black dog licking its wounds in the grass. To his left, his partner, Emil Mullins, whispers, "You heard what happened to Tequila Sunset in Martinez?" "Yes, he lost his mind," Tilbrook answers. fingers on the trigger. Don't worry, Emil. He pulls it out slowly. Slowly now. He'll find it again. We always do.
What am I?
You're an officer of the RCM.
The Revachol Citizens Militia.
Preciso mundo.
Good. And what is the Revachol Citizens Militia?
Nothing more nor less than the de facto law enforcement body of post-revolutionary Revachol, Detective.
You said de facto.
Yes, that means not de jure. The RCM acts in what is poetically called the twilight of international law, both at the behest of the coalition government and to its chagrin.
What do you mean?
The RCM's responsibilities are defined by the Emergency, Wayfarer and Aliments Acts, three pieces of legislation keeping the city in a, let's be honest, laissez-faire stasis to the benefit of foreign capital.
So I'm basically a lackey of capital.
There's nothing basic about your role, Detective. It's true that the RCM keeps everything the way our seemingly permanent provisional rulers like it. Yet, on the other hand, I know these people. I deal with them daily. Let me tell you, dear, they are not fans of you.
Why?
The post-revolutionary decade was a disaster for the coalition government. Revachol in the 20s was hell, especially on the west side of the river. Gang warfare, a botched privatization scheme, a nuclear pile meltdown. They called it the International Zone because no nation wanted to claim responsibility. The RCM restored peace where the coalition failed. A true blue citizens' initiative. They will never forgive you. So permit me to conclude with this. Who you are to me is the police, the only legitimate law enforcement authority in Revachol. And if those authorities drink so hard they need help recalling the basic terms of reality, well, I'm here to help.
I want to know what you are.
She won't maneuver her way out of this one.
What are you?
I am the vilest of the vile. A traitor, a devourer of nations and infants. I am an ultra.
She raises the corner of her mouth, smirking, revealing a canine.
Dios mío, a liberal.
Yes. I am the nether creature of the Forbidden Swamp. I pushed the king under a shit wagon and betrayed the revolution. My kind surrendered the nation to financial colonists. Perhaps you thought we'd gone extinct. After all, no sane person identifies as an ultra anymore. Not in broad daylight. Tell me, now that I've uncoiled myself, are you repulsed?
In her green eyes, you see a mixture of truth and self-satire. Decades of guilt and pride.
I forgive you, but only because you're charming.
A devil, who being of great charm and guile, sneaketh into the homes of the godly.
Vile devil.
I hope we are able to continue as friends despite my scaly bulk and the treacheries committed by my people against the suzerain and the commune. When the dust settled, the liberals were the only ones left to clean up the mess. By virtue of their survival, they were handed enormous power to shape the future.
Sorry, I was really into the...
This was all our
it's
last
a long
generation
conversation.
managed.
Yeah, it's just Kofi's. I was about to stop and read out the Kofi's before. That's okay. But it is, you're right, 9 o'clock, so I'll take a short break and read out some Kofi's. Kofi from Harem. I think Sasha has very good potential for deviousness. He could be a very nuanced villain. The sort where you still know they're a villain, but also understand their motives and kind of relate to them. You know.
But you'd be like, fair enough.
I don't know. I feel like that's actually the less fun sort of villain to play.
I'll tell you what I can get, okay?
Casper. Hi, Johnny. I went to I was at Dungeons and Dragons last weekend, and even though I didn't have an opportunity to talk to you, but I did get to play through Zero Void with Sasha and everyone else. It was such a brilliant game. Oh, well, thank you for the Kofi. Yeah, no, Sasha was telling me about how much fun your group was. He had a really good time running for you. Thanks for coming along. Kofi from Red Dead Zombie. Hello, Johnny de Very Tired. I'm also dozing in bed listening to the stream. Really enjoying audio of 13 Stories, starting chapter 10. I'm wondering what kind of voice you'll be using for Tobias Fell. Will you and Alex be playing Control sometime soon? Looking forward to it. Yes. I don't think we've pinned down a date. Basically, it has turned out that finding a time that me and Alex are both free to stream is stream scheduling nightmare mode. We had finally managed to lock down 20th June, and then obviously Alex got COVID, and which put a little bit of a coffin nail in that one, which is a real shame. So it will be happening, but there is a lot of date wrangling going on at the moment. Kofi from Alia Baxter. Hiya, I have a bit of a shitty time in my personal life currently, so do you have any fun facts or fun mechs stories you feel like sharing? I don't mind either way, they will cheer me up plenty. All the best to you and Sasha and the mods. I mean, I do a lot. It's somewhere in this jelly. So, when I think our second year up at the Fringe, because at the Fringe you all end up sharing like 2 or 3 people to a bedroom because, you know, renting a flat for a month at the Fringe is incredibly expensive and you are very, very poor. Tim and I forget, there were 3 people in the largest bedroom, 2 of whom were Tim and Jess. And at one point, Tim approaches the rest of us and is like, "We need to take Jess to the seaside." And we were like, "What do you mean?" And Tim was like, "I think Jess might stab me if she doesn't go to the seaside." And we were like, "Okay." Tim seemed quite serious about this. And we were like, "Jess, did you say that you were going to stab Tim if you didn't get to go to the seaside?" And Jess was like, "No, I just said I was going to stab someone while looking at Tim." And so we went to the seaside. Jess had a great time. We all had a good time. No one got stabbed. Here endeth the story. Kofi from Monique Suna. It's very early and cold where I live, so the soothing tunes of Martinez keep rocking me back to sleep. But I'm conscious enough to hope you, Sasha, and Chat aren't caught in a void of struggle, as Disco Elysium would say. Be well and happy. Nah, I'm doing alright. I'm exhausted, but I'm going to sleep soon, and this is a pretty chill section of the game. We're just listening to an evil but very charming woman gradually lay out just what the hell's going on with the world. And we're about to have a very small, massive revelation. What would you have done differently?
With due respect to our overlords, the eternal caretaker government that keeps Martinez a monument to the efficacy of its artillery, I would not have relinquished sovereignty to the Coalition. Not here in Martinez, and not in the Stella Maris or Delta Beachheads either. If not for my own sake.
She realizes her small, cold fists are clenched. She loosens them.
Then for my daughters. We had an obligation to defend our sovereignty. We should have burned the whole Isola down rather than let them have it.
Dark orange flames reflect in her green eyes, an oil fire on the ocean.
You're a patriot.
Yes, I suppose I am. But I wouldn't be a patriot anywhere but here.
You have daughters.
Yes. Whatever else I am, I'm also a mother and a wife. Now, shall we return to reality?
What is
all of this? The scent, the sound, the air.
What world is this?
What world? The only one, I suppose. The world of matter. And its pale antipode.
The camera of her mind glides over the surface of the water.
What do you see?
Great bodies of water. Forest-covered surfaces. Clusters of light where the cities lie. You've seen the montage. We all have. This world is enough. There is a term of endearment they coined for it, in the DeLorean century, when humanity was high on this world, discovering more and more of it, these archipelagos included.
What is it?
Elysium.
Elysium. The world needs a term of endearment.
It does. There are those who would call it hell.
What is hell?
A term of hatred that originates, like many such things, with the Mesk petro-fascists.
I don't feel like I've got the whole picture yet.
Oh, you want a picture of the world? There is no complete set yet, dear. They're having some trouble reaching orbit.
How come?
Great things are difficult to achieve. For now, we're viewing the world from the inside, sideways.
Inside, sideways. What shape is this world then?
We used to think it was a sphere, but that is beginning to look less and less likely by the day. You wouldn't know it from the tabloids, but the ORG nations have been launching weather balloons into the lower ionosphere since the 30s.
ORG, Occident Grad.
There's a steadily increasing trickle of images. Between the big three scientific contributors, they're piecing together a dark grey corona.
A dark grey corona?
Yes. Pale covers 72% of the surface. There are grey flares and prominences, even arcs above entire isolas. The images are blurry, but if there was a sphere in there, it certainly looks like it fractured a long time ago.
A cold fear seeps into you.
Pale? What do you mean, corona?
They say there is a rarefied envelope of matter surrounding the darkened disk of our planet. That is, if we are still living on a planet. Or, to speak more plainly, imagine vast swathes of land disrupted by nothingness. I am sorry, dear. It must sound quite terrifying through the acute encephalopathy. Even scientific positivism isn't entirely convinced about what we're dealing with here. But this is one of the greatest questions of our time. Maybe when they get the complete set together, it will jolt us out of our rut, bring us together, however naive it may sound.
Fractured corona doesn't feel like it's going to bring anyone together.
You have misimagined it. I don't have the power to convey to you the effect and geometry of the images that depict our world from below low orbit. It's like the crowning of the world. It's insane. Very disco. You'd love it.
Doesn't sound like any kind of disco I'd like to go to.
But you already have. And you're doing just fine, despite the rubble.
Suddenly, you're conscious of yourself standing there, on whatever this all is. Your arms hang down by your sides.
What is pale?
The Pale is not, technically speaking, part of reality. It is the opposite of reality.
Okay, but what is it? A definition?
Okay. The Pale is the most dominant geological feature of the world, Detective. The separative tissue between the islas. It is the inter-islary mass.
Wait, and what is an isla?
Isla is a Messinian word for a continent of matter, enveloped on all sides by the Pale. Also, isolation, or landmass. We used to believe there was only one. In the last 4 centuries, we have discovered 7. Windy, Seol, Samara, Ilmara, Grad, Katla, and this, Insulinde.
And Insulinde is...
An oceanic isla. It comprises mostly of water. Muindi is the largest, Katla the coldest, Insulinde the bluest. What can I say? Each is perishing and dear.
Okay, what is the Pale like?
Achromatic, odorless, featureless. The Pale is the enemy of matter and life. It is not like any other, or anything in the world. It is the transition state of being into nothingness.
Is it here?
No, Detective. We're safe. It begins there, 6,000 kilometers to the north, and even more to the south, east, and west. You are in the middle of the Isla.
As your gaze instinctively turns north, a small black pit opens up in your stomach.
6,000 kilometers from the end of the world.
Yes. That is enough. Many cities are built much closer.
And there?
An uproar of matter, darling. Rising into the Pale. Rolling. Evaporating even. A great vision. The area of transition between the world and the Pale is called Porch Collapse. Imagine a grey coronal mist, cold vapor marked by spores of an opportunistic microorganism, a mold that's adapted to grow at the edge of the unrest. It's the most disco thing you will ever see.
What are its physical qualities?
It's difficult to describe, or even measure. Something whose fundamental property is the suspension of properties. Physical, epistemological, linguistic. The further into Pale you travel, the steeper the degree of suspension, right down to the mathematical. Numbers stop working. No one has yet passed the number barrier. It may be impossible.
If we're surrounded by Pale, how do you get from Isla to Isla?
Oh, it is so difficult for us.
A squall of birds, hardware operating in the harbor. Firm, self-evident.
It is possible to force dimensions on the Pale. In modern times, we can even compress its latitude, bouncing radio waves from one end to the other, shortening the path. But it is still hard for humans to navigate the Pale without getting lost, or having our minds damaged.
The Pale can damage the mind?
Extensively.
How?
Some say the damage stems from extreme sensory deprivation. Others argue that Pale somehow consists of past information that's degrading, that it's rarefied past, not rarefied matter. They call it the blend over of the self, The Pale does not only suspend the laws of physics, but also the laws of psychology, maybe history even. The human mind becomes over-radiated by past.
What does this over-radiation feel like?
It feels terrible. Absolutely terrible. International standards strictly limit civilian travelers to 6 days of Pale exposure per year.
It's more for her. Way more.
You're not a civilian passenger.
No, nameless detective of the Citizens Militia. I am a member of the Entropanetic Business Class. I'm cleared and trained for 22 days of Pale transit annually.
Perhaps that explains her strange pining after the revolution. Some degraded early memories. Someone else you've met may have been exposed as well. The strange grey-haired woman in her lorry.
Did lorry drivers pass the Pale?
Yes, carried in the hulls of airships. It's a horrific job. Automation will abolish it soon.
You should ask the Pale driver about this. See what she says. That poor woman must have stories to tell, like you wouldn't imagine.
Are you over-radiated?
Up to my gills, officer.
What is entropanetic?
Entropanetics is the scientific study of the Pale, or a recent iteration of it by way of grad. The study of the Pale reaches back 6,000 years. The Pericarnassians called it the Western Plain.
Did they cross it? The Western Plain?
There are signs of pretermodern crossings. Successful navigation of the Pale relies not just on technical know-how, but intensive psychological preparation. Some of these tactics have been known for thousands of years.
What has entropanetics changed then?
Nothing. We remain powerless before the Pale. The only real advance in Pale transit is the speed with which an aerostatic craft can pierce it. Less exposure leads to less effects later.
Aerostatic craft?
Hybrid airships, detective. Conventional rotors or jet engines no longer add velocity after the point of reference for motion is suspended, once you've crossed from near Pale to far Pale. In essence, we throw them in and they come out the other end, if we throw them precisely.
If we do not...
Then they don't.
Gone, like a skipping stone beneath the surface.
How much Pale is there compared to the world?
The Pale outweighs reality 2 to 1. There is more Pale than there is matter, and the ratio is slipping.
Slipping how? To our detriment, or...?
What do you think, detective?
It's growing. There is more and more of the Pale.
Precisely. One of the few measurable effects of the Pale is that it is expanding at an unknown rate. An intuitive conclusion of that development is that one day the Pale will cover everything. But this sort of talk is mostly left to extremists.
It's not extreme at all. It's going to happen.
Most people, and indeed most private and government sector organizations, entire civilizations and religions even, find handy ways to ignore or downplay that knowledge. I suggest you do the same.
Off we go. You see the hanged man's mouth open.
Off we go. Into the wild Pale yonder.
One and all. They say Pale is death, but for the universe.
Why should we just leave, and the world get left behind?
Let's return to reality. Please.
Yes, sweet reality. But before we do, tell me, detective. Is this the first time you're hearing this? Do you really not remember anything?
I sometimes sense vague shadows of a past, and it's not good.
Then tell me, what do you think of the Pale?
You were right. It's disco.
Mm-hmm. You really didn't know. This does not spell good for the investigation, Detective. If you don't know even this, then...
This investigation will be my masterpiece. The one they remember me by. I promise.
I hope so. I truly do. If I may suggest, hold on to your colleague, Kitsuragi. I ran a check on him and he is very competent. In the meanwhile...
Some of that assurance is meant for herself, as much as it's meant for you. She must have a lot on the line here.
You have me. I will assist you in any way I can, even if we have to do it one basic term at a time.
What is this?
A bird? A sphenicid? A flightless bird of the polar regions?
Keep guessing.
Some sort of krill hunter? No, wait. You're an ancient ruin. A symbol of hubris and decay. Half submerged in some salty sea.
You saying I'm ruined?
Of course you're not, my dear. I'm just terrible at guessing games.
I meant, what is this place here?
Ah. This is the pier of Rue de Saint-Ghislain, 33A, where the tenants have been kind enough to rent me a slot. Or two.
What is Rue de Saint-Ghislain 33A?
A pre-revolutionary tenement. Old buildings are called tenements, you see. And new buildings, bâtiments. After, les bâtiments nouveaux. But 33A and 33B are not nouveaux. They're old. This one used to be 8 to 10 stories tall. A real high-rise by the standards of the last century. Built to mirror the skyscrapers across the bay in the Delta. That was before the war, of course.
Who lived in them?
Mostly the urban middle class, I believe. This was once primo real estate, before the cannons lopped 4 or 5 stories off. Splat, splat.
You could be wrong, but from here it appears as if she's running the brush across her throat in a soaring motion.
Wonderful.
What is that?
The girl in the old lady rags.
Yes.
Looks like a sullen and rebellious member of a teen infraculture.
Infraculture?
Yes, you and I belong to the supraculture. We're common, the herd. The music on the radio, the food in the chain restaurant, those are all too popular for the girl in the old lady rags. She prefers a fantasy world, an infraculture with its own dress code and vernacular. It is an illusion, I'm afraid. There is no refuge from the supraculture.
I understand everything. Make it more complicated somehow.
I can't. That's how simple it is. One may dye their hair green and wear their grandma's coat, all they want. Capital has the ability to subsume all critiques into itself. Even those who would critique capital end up reinforcing it instead.
That chunk of that line, this chunk is, it's, to my mind, one of the most trenchant and pointed bits of. I just really vibe with this section. I'm like, oh yeah, it sucks.
All right. What next?
Suddenly, you're not so sure you're part of the supraculture.
I think I may be part of an infraculture.
And what would that be?
Disco.
I can see that, yes. I dabble in those dark arts myself, not so long ago. I assure you, it was a thoroughly supracultural phenomenon. All permeating. Downright mandatory. Nothing infra about disco, baby.
Your disco.
Those days are long behind me. And even in the early 30s, I would say I was more of a new girl. Disco was a minor, but still enjoyable facet of the whole thing for me.
The new?
The new. A cultural era. And the name of the decade it ravished, the 30s. It came out of post-revolutionary Revachol. It was ultra-liberal. It involved lots of partying, as you might imagine, and champagne-coloured everything. By the looks of it, that would have been when you came of age. Now.
Sounds fun. I can't remember a single thing.
Wasn't it Guillaume Le Million who said, if you can remember the new, you weren't there?
That's all for now.
Glad to have been of assistance. The little that I know. Anything else?
Thank you. That's all for now. Maybe a sea monster did this to the plaza. The damage looks like it could have been caused by an earthquake. A bold slogan, Humanox, covers the truck.
The woman is still hunched over the railing, her head swaying to the music, her eyes looking at nothing in particular.
Huh? What is it? What do you want?
I think I know what's going on with you.
And what is that?
You're a Pale driver. You transport goods through the Pale.
Oh meu Deus. The lawman solved the case. And here I was, thinking you were an idiot. So, are you? An idiot, I mean.
Not an idiot. I'm a detective of the RCM. Don't say I'm an idiot.
You are an idiot. And you are keeping me here, glued to this racket. Unless there was anything else. And what is... Oh meu Deus. And here I was, thinking you were an idiot.
Blacked
So,
out.
are you? An idiot, I mean.
I blacked out from sheer heartbreak and lost all memory of the world.
Like Gabriel Buenguerro in Segúreme, Paraíso. You're the opposite of me, then. I remember everything, even the things I never knew.
Things you never knew.
The smell of liquor on Gabriel's lips after the shoot. In the motor park. The roses on the day of Franco Negro's coronation. On the grand stairs of Ryle. The smoke from the fowling piece when Dolores Day was shot. The look on her face, like an orgasm. The wound in her chest. My hand in my father's hand. Except I never had a father, and I never shot her innocent Dolores Day.
Over radiation?
Heroic doses, Hervé. Heroic.
Isn't that dangerous?
Thought insertion? Dithering? The Grad Catalan Magistral? It's more than dangerous. It's sad. But at first I had to make a living. Now, when you've seen it all go away like that, rolling off like the sea, and then come back to this. What are we doing here? For thousands of years, Gabriel. It doesn't have to be like this. We can just give up. We can just become a vapor.
What does it look like? The pale.
Like looking into the ocean at night, in the dark.
And
You cannot see it, but you know it's there. And it's big, bigger than anything. Bigger than all the other things combined.
what does it feel like?
Nothing. Until it starts. When you are deep enough. Then, for me, it's like autumn. Dark, grey and orange. The orange of street lights and the color of streets in the electric light. It smells like autumn too. It smells terrible.
Nostalgia. Cooped up in the cabin, shaking. Terrible nostalgia. For yourself. For humans. It's too much to bear. She loves it.
How do you pass through it?
In the belly of an airship, behind the stair windows. So you don't look straight into it. It's not advised to look into it.
Not on this lorry, then.
No, the same one, a roller. They all are nowadays. Special wheels for connecting to the floor of the hold.
One last thing. You said we could just become vapor.
Yes,
I feel I already have what you have, in some way.
they say there is a point. One that I have not crossed. In the Pale, super deep. If you stray too far, of course, on the U41A, or in Lomonosov's land, where every step you take is one step further from home, no matter the direction. It's a point you cannot come back from. Your mind becomes so radiant with the past, there is a flip. Instead of writing, it erases memory, nearing some kind of indescribable finale. Maybe you've been down the motorway south?
The motorway south.
It's a story as lone horsemen tell. Lone horsemen, Jerife, not pale drivers. Way beyond the established pale that's lit by radio frequencies, where it goes silent and dark, and the process begins, erasure, kilometer by kilometer, in any direction. The motorway south is a road you cannot come back from.
What is at the end of the motorway south?
No one knows what's at the end. I've only glimpsed the beginning. I've only felt it in the distance when I was a child. A child rowing on the lake. Josiana.
There is nothing more to do now. She's far away. She is receding in the clutches of some indescribable scattered emotion. A child descending.
At the edge of the map, the landmass begins to disintegrate into pure trigonometry. The ocean melts, becoming a tangle of sines and cosines. The mountain range turns into a sharp-angled azimuth. Its green rain shadow dithers, like music turning into a waveform, but then vanishes. This is the end. A half-remembered textbook from your childhood. The porch collapsing on the edge of the Isura. A transition from reality to pale. A single vector shoots out like a rocket. It's the motorway south, splintering off from the known pale. To where? Where does it go?
A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned with the expression. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. In it, your face, adorned. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. The faucet is quite terribly mangled, but you just might be able to twist its parts into place. You handle the chain cutters deftly, applying just enough pressure. The faucet regains a recognizable shape. The steam stops. Told you that you needed those chain cutters. Everything is connected. Everything has a purpose. The mirror begins to clear slowly without you having to wipe it. A mirror hangs on the bathroom wall. It's barely covered. It belongs in the new, the third decade of the current century. Enough time had passed from the failure of the revolution that, for a fleeting moment, free market economy seemed like the ultimate, uncontested way of life for our species.
Aye.
Things were good. It was smooth sailing. People made gold and champagne-tinted interiors and facades to suit the times, calling this the new style. But more importantly, disco happened. Forget about ostentatious orchestrations. For Revachol, your city, that meant only one thing. Guillaume Lamillion. Out of the dazzling swirl of disco music, in an open-air boîte de nuit, somewhere in Revachol West, Guillaume's blonde mane appeared on the screen. He sang some bullshit. Then he made the expression.
So I adopted it? Why?
Everyone loved it. Maybe you thought some of the stardust would rub off on you. Maybe it did. Either way, it's all gone now. Only the grimace remains.
I feel the need to add a clicking sound when I make it.
The click is used to spur on a horse. It also features heavily in Guillaume Le Million's regional mega hit, Don't Worry, Your Pretty Little Head. Sometimes you like to add finger pistols to the mix, because, unlike Guillaume Le Million, you are a police officer. It's your nifty little way to say, I'm armed and dangerous.
How long ago was the new?
There is a vast ocean of time between right now and the expression, looking good on you, or anyone. 2 decades, if the calendar is to be trusted. Humanity has run aground in that time. It's a different world now. The expression is a relic.
Anything else? Like, who I am? Why did I become a cop? Why did I drink myself into oblivion?
You have some understanding of the near history of disco, plus the trivia you've picked up along the way. Episodic memory, however, remains in the dark. It may never return. You should prepare yourself for that.
Does this have anything to do with ostentatious orchestrations?
Not really. OO must have just stirred your mind. They're more like a disco rock band anyway.
I guess that's it then.
It doesn't have to be. You can swoon over Guillaume and his champagne cork smile whenever you want to. Maybe some of the stardust will return. Still not happening. It won't come off that easy. The bed is cold and not particularly inviting, but it's yours. The sheets look awful.
The option to go to sleep becomes available every night.
All in.
The sheets feel at once coarse and clammy against your skin. The bed sags beneath your weight as you stretch out and finally close your eyes. And then sleep doesn't come. And then sleep doesn't come.
I want to sleep.
Obviously, you're in bed with your eyes closed, but it's not happening.
Why?
Maybe it's the bed's fault.
Check the pillow.
Its synthetic filling has separated into hard lumps. The pillowcase smells oddly. Smells of alcohol and sweat and grease.
Check the blanket.
It barely covers your toes, stretching over your soft belly. This is your body here, intimate and warm, breathing. Under your thrumming eyelids, you see a dizzying array of colors. You won't get off this carousel quite so easily.
Roll over to the other side.
It's a little better. Colors, scenes, and half-formed phrases still litter your mind. Part of you is still trying to solve the case, isn't it?
Who killed him? Who?
Something to do with, what was it that the lieutenant said? Union? And it's gone again. Your thoughts lost between the slowing brain waves.
No more thoughts. Fall asleep. Now.
Your breathing steadies. A great silence washes over you until your eyelids twitch in your sleep and images start forming.
Do you remember the scent of your childhood?
I remember nothing.
Do you remember your wife's hand on your face?
I was left.
That's right, funky baby. And you just stood there. One hand on the bottle and the other on your dick. Watching her go. Let it all be dragged away from you. Tell me, where are your friends? Human beings have friends, Harry boy. Where the hell are yours?
I don't want to come back.
They were only cramping your descent into the abyss. Now they're gone. 3 times gone and never coming back. All of it. You failed. You failed me. You failed Elysium.
I've talked to you before.
No, Harry. You were just talking to yourself. That's all you ever do. Even in your dreams. And the act is wearing thin. The spots of the disco ball fade around you. You'll be back in those cold snakeskins in no time, sweating up the bed. Stinky boy.
What is Elysium?
Everything. The pale and the useless. On the surface. The outer magnetosphere. Burning, furious truth. 8,000 years of written history. You really dropped the ball, Harry. 4.6 billion people. And you failed every single one of them. You really fucked up.
You can come back from this.
You're not coming back from shit. Thrashing around in that high conductivity state of yours. Bumping into things and acting like a clown. Who are you kidding?
I'm trying to solve this case.
You're trying to what? I can't hear you. This is just a word dream now. Jumbled up garbage. The pictures are gone. The bed rises to meet you. A thin, sleep-like state. More glass than velvet, grinding in your head.
So something is wrong. Sleep shouldn't be this bad, this dry, this unnourishing. There's something wrong with your thoughts. Some kind of new type of hangover.
God, there's another type.
Oh yes, party boy, and it's worse than the one before. Just think of the shit you saw. Here it comes too. So soon already. A silent alarm goes off in your head like clockwork. Barely let you sleep at all. Time to get those clothes on, Harry. Time to go to work in the shit factory.
Good going, buddy.
Oh my God. What the hell was that?
Oh, just a dream. You have ones like that all the time. You feel even worse this morning than you did last night.
What the hell is going on with me?
You mean, why are you so tired? Too tired and down to even think? It is worrying, isn't it? You can't be a detective like this. Detectives need to be able to think.
Why is this happening?
It's just that your heart has finally pumped all the speed out of your system, Buster. Time to get some more. Don't do that. Stay strong. The hangover will wear off. You don't need to keep doing this to yourself.
Wait, what is speed?
Speed is a potent central nervous system stimulant. It kept you propped up all day yesterday, despite your debilitating hangover. How else did you think you even got up from this floor? You got up from this floor because of a holy vow you made 16 years ago. With me. To wake up exactly 7:30 every morning until the day you die. Don't be silly. There was no vow. You were high on speed. That was the only reason you got up. You can't detect without it. It's that simple.
I can take this. I am not going to go looking for speed.
Are you sure? Ready to live as this pathetic shell of yourself for days? Basically, a week. Let's be honest, 2 weeks. Maybe 3. You won't make it. Half the town will be dead by then. You will be fired.
That's a lie. I can do this without the speed. Half the town won't be dead.
Suit yourself, slow, sad shell man. See how you do without your spark.
Did I go to bed holding the chain cutters? Looks like I did. That's fine. Right, and on that, the second day begins, and I think I'm going to call it there. Well, I've got some. I need to check, see if there's any Kofis to be reading out before the end, and there are. Wonderful. Kofi from Red Dead Zombie. On scary thought stories, have you ever explored the ideas around taxidermy? I get a lot of people get uncanny valley-esque feelings around stuffed animals. I always imagined a statement from Tring Museum on the specimens splitting their stitches and horrible things crawling out. I mean, I did a taxidermy statement. It's called Still Life. What number was it? Still Life, Magnus. Yeah, episode 54, Still Life. It's about creepy taxidermy because you're right. There's a lot to mine there. So if you haven't had a chance to listen to that, give that episode a listen because I think it's a good one. Kofi from Alia Baxter. Thank you for that. It did delight me. Although I have heard you recount that story in a VOD, it is among my favourites. Although I sometimes struggle to listen to Jessica's songs, I do love her as a performer. Yeah, Jess is a great performer. I really love her songs. But you know, taste is taste. Kofi from Tomcat. Hello, Johnny, Sasha, and all. It's lovely to once again spend a Friday evening with you. I wanted you to know that while I'm watching the stream, Lilu the dog is busy catching flies around the house with little success, but a lot of commitment. How are the cats doing? I think they are currently snoozing pleasantly upstairs with Sash and paying no attention to the football. Kofi from Tempest Montgomery. Happy Friday, Johnny and all. No news from me. I'm back from vacation and so glad I could catch the stream. I'm really loving the world building. It's really beautiful. I adore surreal sci-fi. Do you have any favourite stories that have a similar feeling? Best rest to you soon. Disco Elysium, that sort of like... So the thing about Disco Elysium that when it says that derealization, jamais vu, is like the most important thought, to my mind, they are giving a very direct sort of statement of kind of the point of the game and the kind of the point of the world, because so much of Disco Elysium's world building is taking very real, very familiar concepts and shifting them, recontextualizing them, making it so that you are looking at them without the baggage of a lot of stuff. You know, it's talking about communism, but you don't need to, but like you don't need to think about Lenin or Stalin or Chairman Mao. That, like, all that context and history and baggage is remixed, reshuffled into Krasmazov and the Revachol Commune, which allows you to look at very familiar concepts in a new light. It's derealization, it's jamais vu, which I think is a really interesting way to go about it, and something that I haven't actually seen done a huge amount. Like, weirdly, you do get a lot of it in like sort of tabletop RPGs, but not deliberately in a lot of in a lot of cases. Like, you will often have RPG worlds that are sort of slightly alternate histories, or set in a world that is sort of similar to ours but one degree across. But it's rare that that is done with like a deliberate consideration. So I can't pluck any examples off the top of my head, but I'll have a think about it because that's a really good question. And go from Shiny Happy Goth. Hi, Johnny et al. I have received my official Magnus Archived dice set, and I would like to report that the Fears dice is a chonker. Of course it is. It's what, 14, 15 sides? It needs to be hefty. Needs to be hefty. Oh, I used to have a D20 that was about yay big and solid metal. Loved that thing. Absolute murder weapon of a dice. You couldn't roll it on any table because you'd damage the table. But oh boy, did I like that. Did I love that dice. I wonder what happened to it. Oh well. Right. And on that note, I think I am going to call it there. And I am probably going to go to bed. It's been a long. What would it be like? 30 hours? No, 40, 30. Somewhere between 46 and 30. Somewhere between 36 and. It's been some time. It's been 2 days. So thank you all very much for joining me. I'm really enjoying these Disco Elysium streams. I know they're quite slow and meditative, but I don't know, I really like them. Yes, we should hopefully be doing the second half of the Picross Progress first adventure, Attack of the Sea Beast, this Sunday, me and Sash. And on Monday, Sash will be doing Jane Austen Book Club as per usual, as things rocket towards. I mean, like, it's not that much longer. Like, things are coming to a head, I think, for young Fanny. But yes, thank you very much for joining me. And as we say at the end of every stream, off we go into the wild, pale yonder. Bye.